was right about the shoe. The shoe was not the same in the picture in court as the shoe pulled from the evidence bag by Trooper Bukake.
And you mentioned you're at the hospital. There was a sneaker. One.
Yes.
Bukake! Bukake!
The paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderers, scum. They're on giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot and the goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap, we don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Good evening, friends. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Man, some comments there in regards to the old Alex Jones folk song that somebody threw together a long time ago. I love that. Here's my thoughts on that, on why I play it. If you got annoyed by it because you thought that I hate Alex Jones and I'll take any jab I can to make fun of him, then I win. If you think that I played that because I love Alex Jones and I think he's awesome and I'm a big fan, well then I also win. If I annoyed you in any way by playing that in my intro because maybe the intro's too long, I win. Go fuck yourself. I win. What do you think I do this shit for? You think I do this like just to entertain you? No, dude. Like I entertain myself. And part of the way that I entertain myself, full disclosure, part of the way that I entertain myself is to fuck with people on a mass level and just see what I can get away with. Like I will absolutely do that. I will absolutely just test limits. I will absolutely cost myself subscribers deliberately just to see how many would this cost me if I said this shit. Like I swear to God. So I win every time. Every time. Especially like people who hate when I do this.
Oh, here we go.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad.
How dare you?
Dina, play Aerosmith for once. Never. No, I'm not doing that. Because here's the thing, Dina. I'm going to be totally honest with you. And I know I'm breaking your heart here because I know that you are a big Aerosmith fan. But there's two reasons why I won't play Aerosmith. One is because I'll get copyright dinged for it. It won't even play it. StreamYard, because what happens is I could play it from YouTube, but StreamYard sound sucks. And the only reason it sounds good, like my intros actually come through sounding good, is because I have to download them and then I play them as a file. So if I play them as a file, it comes out good on your end. If I play them on as a YouTube video, it comes off good to me as I'm playing it, but you, the listener who's watching me on YouTube, it sounds like shit. It cuts out. It sucks. So, so now StreamYard has made it to where, like, even if I download a copyrighted thing, it won't play it. So if it's copyrighted in any way, it won't even play it, which is really annoying. It won't play the file, even if I download it and play it as my own file. So now StreamYard is doing that, which is really annoying. The other reason why I won't play Aerosmith is because I hate Aerosmith. I think they suck. I think they're terrible. I think they're fucking one of the worst bands of all time. I just don't fucking care about Aerosmith. I've never liked them. I've never liked Steven Tyler. I've always thought Joe Perry was a fucking douchebag. And I realize there's a lot of Boston people that are like, how dare you say that about our beloved Aerosmith? I'm sorry, but I just never liked Aerosmith. I just never did. So, all I know is that if I'm going to get a copyright ding, then it's going to be a band that I actually like. It's going to be a band that I actually like. But yeah, I've just never liked Aerosmith. It's nothing personal. And I know there's bands that you like, Dina, that I like too. So don't get all upset about it. I know there's bands that you like that I like too. We're never going to be on the same page on Aerosmith. They've been around too long. I'm too old to change my opinion on it now. Even though I kind of changed my opinion on Creed, which is really weird. I used to hate Creed, but now there's certain songs and I'm like, it's all right. You know, at least doesn't annoy me anymore. It's like, it at least doesn't annoy me. I'm like, those are actually some pretty nice lyrics, man. You know, like I kind of get it. I kind of get the whole, it's just the whole, like, I feel like Scott Stapp was trying real hard to sound like what he thinks Eddie Vedder sounds like and what the record company thinks that Eddie Vedder sounds like, even though there's like maybe 2 songs where Eddie Vedder sings like that in a very low monotone type voice. So you know, it's and then he just exploited that whole thing, just and like every fucking song is like that, and I'm like, that's not, you know. Like I think like Even Flow was like the one song that maybe Eddie Vedder sounded like that. And even though I've kind of grown out of my appreciation for Pearl Jam, really mostly, I still appreciate the fact that Eddie Vedder is an amazing vocalist, like really underrated vocalist, and really overrated in some ways too, because people like think that Eddie's a great singer for the wrong reasons. People don't even know what the fuck a good singer sounds like. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, dude, that like, I have a real hard time, with music, and not being really picky about it. I've actually gotten a lot better about it, but when I was younger, I was probably one of the most annoying people. One of the most annoying people. Like I thought everything sucked. No, I'm not a Chili Pepper fan at all. I used to be, and then I started really like appreciating music. Dude, Anthony Kiedis cannot sing. He's a terrible singer in my opinion. I think Flea is a brilliant musician. I think they're a brilliant band. Don't get me wrong. I don't know what happened. They got old and then their balls just fucking, they just started sagging and not in a good way. And I don't know what it is, but their music, Blood Sugar Sex Magic was the last good album that they had. Freaky Styley is my shit. Fucking Mother's Milk is my shit. You know, like it's like they devolved, you know, and just were like, okay, well, we're old now, so let's just make as many millions as we can, which is fine. That's cool, you know, like that's cool that they did that. Like there's nothing wrong with making a business decision, a business conscious decision, and cater to the masses. That's fine. I'm not calling them sellouts. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I don't enjoy their music now that they've done that. I like the old stuff. That's all it is. I prefer the old stuff. Dina gifted 10 memberships despite my hatred and loathing for Aerosmith. And in case you guys didn't know, the mighty one, Mr. Mark Betterow, is on Justice Surf TV right now. If you guys want to take a second, go over there, give him a like at least, or go check it out and then just come back, watch this later. So, okay, Kathy Downing, I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, man. Oh, he's already done. That was great, man. I got to be honest, man. That's the most at least I've heard the Mighty One talk about Aiden's case publicly. I was like, okay, all right, Mark, all right. Like I was really like, okay, taken back a little bit. I was surprised because he's usually a lot more reserved when it comes to these things. He's usually like, I'm not going to get into that, but you know, and then he'll say something that's satisfying enough. But yeah, he was on fire today, man. It was really great to see. And speaking of which, why we're all here. So Karen Reed apparently filed a lawsuit, and we're going to go over that. And she is suing Michael Proctor in his personal capacity, Sergeant Yuri Buchanan in his personal capacity, Lieutenant Brian Tully in his personal capacity, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgins. Now, this is fun. This is fun. I love this so much because this has to happen. This had to happen. This had to happen. I love that they specify these so-called Massachusetts State Police officers in their personal capacity. We're not suing the Massachusetts State Police, or at least not suing them as part of that entity. We're suing them as individuals. And Angel Baby, thank you so much. I enjoyed the morning clubber walks. You've given me the inspiration I needed to work on my mental health. Thank you for being a real one. That's really awesome, man. That you have no idea how much that means to me to hear that. Thank you so much. That's really, really awesome. And I just got a Venmo here from Barbara, $10. And it's just a gift, no note. Thank you so much, Barbara. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's really, man, that's really awesome. Like, because the thing is those are therapeutic for me. You know what I mean? And then I just kind of decided to share that, you know, with you guys, because like I've been terrible like about members only content, and I had to think of something. And then it gets to a point to where you're like, you know, well, what do I do in my everyday life that I could share with, you know, my community? And I'm like, the walks with Clubber, that would be really cool. I feel like at least some people would appreciate that and like that. So Liz88 gifted a membership as usual. Thank you so much. So yeah. Yeah, so to me, you know, it's therapeutic for me because I really enjoy it. It's really peaceful. I usually have the whole park to myself. And it's really cool to share that with you guys. And it's really even better to know that you guys enjoy it as well, because I was worried about that. So that's awesome. Analog 1260, thank you so much. ML says they did in personal capacity because the way they can't use union lawyers, they'll have to pay for a lawyer, basically kicking the arse. Right. I was going to actually get into that. I was going to theorize that actually. Thank you so much for that. And Yeah, I feel like yeah, exactly. I feel like they're like, no, you don't get to hide behind the badge, and the badge doesn't get to bail you out. All that red tape with union representatives and all that shit. Fuck all that. No, we're suing you personally. You're gonna have to come up with the money yourself. And you're gonna have to answer for this shit without anybody in the Massachusetts State Police or the Norfolk County DA's office telling you what you can and can't say. So yeah. And they want them to have to pay, and it's a tactic too. If Melanie Little, yeah, that's a great point. If Melanie Little pointed that out, it's a great tactic to put them in a position. I mean, isn't that what lawyers do? Isn't that what someone who is suing someone does? Is they make it as difficult for them to be able to fight back as possible. And I love that. I love that because these guys have been able to operate with impunity, with someone always there to bail them out of a situation and cover their ass. And this isolates them. This isolates them and makes them in a position to where they don't have anybody to hide behind and nobody to bail them out. So, and this also, I feel like, would cause the Massachusetts State Police to be like, we're keeping our dude. If this shit's on you, then it's on you. We ain't got nothing to do with this. There's no reason for us to intervene. Like they think the Massachusetts State Police are going to have their back on a personal level, but they're about to wake up and realize, MSP is going to be like, well, this is going to be why make this a bad look for us when it's not being made a bad look for us? You know what I'm saying? Why do that? We're already like, they're not fucking with us. So best of luck, homies. Best of luck. Love that shit. So, the introduction here, the complaint is for 3.5 years, plaintiff Karen Reed was wrongly accused of homicide and subjected to suspicion, arrest, 2 prosecutions, and public condemnation, all resulting from the gross misconduct of the Massachusetts State Police and those working in tandem with the Massachusetts State Police to shield from liability the party or parties responsible for the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe III. Now, after being acquitted of all charges relating to Mr. O'Keefe's death, Ms. Reed brings this action to recover for and address the actions of those actually involved in Mr. O'Keefe's death and the law enforcement officers who abjectly failed to ensure that justice was sought and served in the aftermath of January 29, 2022. I love that. So much for MSP getting to be like, hey, we're good, because this filing clearly holds them to some degree accountable. They're not suing them, but they're saying the actions of the Massachusetts State Police, because they were acting in the capacity of Massachusetts State Police representatives, were they not? Every single one of them, Tully, Bukaki, and Proctor, were all working in the capacity of Massachusetts State Police officers. So the footnote here says that Massachusetts State Police and Town of Canton will be added as defendants after presentment is made pursuant to blah, 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 blah. Plaintiff intends to move to consolidate this action with the related action, estate of John O'Keefe, blah, 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 for discovery and trial efficiencies. Karen Reed did not kill her then boyfriend, Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, in the early morning hours of January 29th, Mr. O'Keefe was killed in defendants Brian and Nicole Albert's home at 34 Fairview Road in Canton in an altercation during a late night house party with the other defendants, collectively the house defendants. The house defendants. I love that shit. Go, AJ. We're going to call them the house defendants. I love that shit. AJ, you may call them the house defendants, but they will always be the McAlberts to me. Hey, Kelly Reed, what's up? It's good to see you. The House defendants. I'll never get over that. After a night of heavy drinking, the House defendants responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death, some of whom had professional experience with police investigations, concocted a plan immediately after the altercation to avoid culpability and to frame Karen Read. Rather than call first responders for help, among other actions, the House defendants conducted a Google search for information about Haas Long to die in the cold, moved Mr. O'Keefe's body outside, and placed him on the Albert's front lawn near the road to make it look like Mr. O'Keefe was hit by a vehicle and that he died in the snow without ever coming into the house that night. Mr. O'Keefe's body remained on the Albert's lawn until Karen Read found him later in the morning. I mean, because like I'm looking at that, because here's the thing: it's like these civil filings, like they could fucking say pretty much whatever they want. Either they get to prove it or they don't. You know what I mean? So they could pretty much say whatever the fuck they want. And here, obviously, the gloves are off. You know, like during the criminal trial, they had to be like with kid glove and be like, we want to be careful and not outright accuse anybody of anything. We just want to convince the jury that there is clearly a more viable alternative than the defendant who's being accused right here. And it consists of all these fucking assholes, right? So that's what the defense wants to do in a criminal trial. Here in a civil trial, it's like, fuck all that. Like, this is what happened. And I'm wondering, since that's the case, how come they worded it like Karen Read found John O'Keefe? I get that it seems like, okay, well, she was the one to find him. You know what I mean? Nobody else gave enough of a fuck, but she was the one to find him. I would have been like, at least, and this is why the Glare Institute of Law and stuff is only so prestigious, folks. Dina says, Scott McGinnis, you are and always have been a loyal, honest, strong stand-up guy. This movement loves and respects you for always speaking the truth and honesty. You will always have my respect. I second that. Thank you so much, Dina. Yes, Scott McGinnis is the truth, and we will see you all there December 5th to support Aiden. So, since the Glare Institute of Law and stuff is only so prestigious, okay, this is probably why this wasn't done by actual educated attorneys. But I'm just saying, I would have liked to have seen that worded with miraculously Jen McCabe. But that's not what happened. What happened was Karen was like, at least I'm assuming this is what happened. Karen was like, okay, well, it makes sense to go back to the last place he was seen. So let's go back to 34 Fairview. And so that was the case. I would have liked to have just seen Jen McCabe just thrown under the bus and all that. Because, like, she's in the car with her, like, and she's acting like she didn't know shit about where he was. And she knew goddamn well that he was lying out there in the snow since like fucking 12:30 at night, or since like 1 or 2 in the morning. And then fucking went home and Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. Get the fuck out of my face. She knew he was out there. She knew exactly the circumstances of the situation. And then she just sat there and pretended and played dumb while Karen is frantic in the backseat of this car while they're driving around and acting like a fool, or making her seem like she's acting like a fool, like she's panicking and being dramatic. But Jen McCabe and maybe Carrie Roberts did, but I don't think so. But Jen McCabe absolutely knew exactly where John's body was. She knew exactly what happened to him, and she knew exactly what they did with him. From the beginning, investigators from the MSP allowed the House defendants to direct the investigation away from themselves and toward Ms. Read. The House defendants were a well-connected and close social group with strong ties to law enforcement. Not swingers, you idiots. The Alberts are a prominent family in Canton, and the investigating police officers knew them well. The lead investigator for the Massachusetts State Police, Michael Proctor, grew up in Canton and resides there to this day. He has been and remains close personal friends with the Albert family. House defendant Brian Albert was a longtime Boston Police Department officer, and House defendant Brian Higgins was an agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, aka the ATF. In adhering the unwritten rule of protecting their own, Proctor and his Massachusetts State Police colleagues intentionally disregarded the obvious and compelling evidence tying the House defendants to Mr. O'Keefe's murder. Specifically, Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with a physical altercation. He had bruises and lacerations on his face and a deep gash to the back of his head, suggesting that he was punched and fell backwards, hitting his head on a ridged surface or a rigid surface. He also had dog bite wounds and scratches on his right arm and forearm. Equally evident, Mr. O'Keefe did not have a single injury consistent with being struck by a vehicle. Now, I love how this is, like I said, the gloves are off. They're just saying what it is. Like, he had dog bite scratches and bites on his arm. Like, he just did. They didn't say that before. They just said they look a lot like dog bites and scratches because Judge Bev was going to shut anything else down. They look like this. They appear to be this, don't they? That's how they have to do that shit. And now they could write in this motion, the motherfucker had dog bite wounds and dog scratch wounds all up and down his arm. Like, that's it. This is what they did. This is what happened. And this is why we're fucking suing them. Equally evident, Mr. O'Keefe did not have a single injury consistent with being struck by a vehicle. He did not have any broken bones or even bruises on his legs, feet, arms, shoulders, torso, back, ribs, or anywhere below his neck that a medical examiner would otherwise expect to find on a person struck and killed by an impact from a 3-ton vehicle. And to erase any doubt, the Commonwealth's own medical examiner, the pathologist who conducted the autopsy for the Commonwealth, concluded that Mr. O'Keefe's body showed no signs of a vehicular strike. Despite that, Proctor and others shielded the House defendants by intentionally sidestepping fundamental investigatory procedures propelled by the House defendants' false statements, including that Mr. O'Keefe never went into the house. Proctor reported in text messages just hours into the investigation that the House defendants weren't going to get any shit for this because he's, Brian Albert, a Boston cop. And that Proctor was determined to make an investigation cut and dry by bringing charges against the girl. Indeed, Proctor made his intentions clear in writing. Karen Reed had zero chance of skating. She's fucked, quote unquote. This pronouncement was a mere 16 hours after Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered on the Albert's lawn, and Proctor had not even walked into the house. True to his promise, Proctor and his colleagues did not search the house for blood evidence resulting from the gash to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head, or for fingerprints, or for DNA evidence. Proctor did not search the house despite the fact that Mr. O'Keefe was discovered without a winter coat, without the hat several witnesses said he had been wearing that night, and without his left shoe. The motherfucking shoe. People, the motherfucking shoe. See, that's my boy right there. That right there is my boy Alan Jackson, people.
To the glare of the Commonwealth's national case.
I'm not done with the shoe, by the way. I'm not done celebrating the shoe, but let's get back to this. At Proctor's direction, the house was never processed by a criminalist or even photographed. No member of the MSP, including Proctor, set foot inside 34 Fairview for nearly a week. The police did not examine or take evidence from the Alberts German Shepherd that was in the house on January 29th, a dog that had a history of attacking other dogs and people. Neither Proctor nor any of the MSP troopers conducted physical examinations of the house defendants for evidence of involvement in the altercation, such as marks on their hands, knuckles, or face, or bruises on their bodies. They did not seize or search the house defendants' phones. They conducted only perfunctory, unrecorded conversations with Proctor's friends and acquaintances without any attempt to corroborate their stories. They permitted would-be witnesses to communicate with each other and coordinate their stories before any formal interviews. They allowed critical evidence to be manipulated in some instances and outright destroyed in others. In short, by focusing the investigation solely on Miss Reed as implicitly directed by the House defendants through the misrepresentations they made to police, Proctor and his colleagues disregarded and failed to obtain pertinent interviews and other critical evidence from the House defendants that can now be recovered or recreated. I mean, this is all very true. This is all beautiful. Proctor also secretly communicated with the Alberts on his personal phone, deliberately back-channeling those communications to circumvent his state-issued device and used his sister as a conduit. For instance, on multiple occasions, Proctor disclosed critical and confidential information about the investigation to his sister, who passed that information to her close friend Julie Albert, Brian Albert's sister-in-law. Julie Albert then passes that same information on to the rest of her family and the House defendants. Part of these communications included Julie Albert's promise to buy Proctor a thank you gift for handling this investigation in a manner that intentionally avoided implicating the House defendants and singularly focused on Miss Reed. Proctor then went Proctor then went so far as to manufacture evidence to ensure that Miss Reed, not his friends and fellow law enforcement officers, was blamed for Mr. O'Keefe's death. Holy shit. How do you say they fucking framed her without saying they fucking framed her? This included planting evidence at the scene on Mr. O'Keefe's clothes and on Miss Reed's vehicle to support the false narrative that Miss Reed hit Mr. O'Keefe with her car, even though he knew Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were inconsistent with a motor vehicle strike and consistent with a physical altercation and dog attack. From the conducting and objective investigation with integrity, Proctor personally sexualized and dehumanized Miss Reed throughout the investigation, specifically Proctor's private communications to his high school buddies, sister, and Massachusetts State Police colleagues that he believed would never be discovered. Exposed the corruption and bias at the core of Massachusetts State Police entire investigation. Specifically, only hours into the investigation, in a text chain with 8 of his high school buddies, Proctor stated that Miss Reed is a whack job cunt, retarded, a nutbag, and a babe with no ass. Proctor further ridiculed and derided Miss Reed for her serious medical condition, stating that her balloon knot leaked poo. In other private text messages with his Massachusetts State Police supervisors and colleagues, Proctor bragged that while conducting a search of Miss Reed's phone, he was looking for naked pictures of Miss Reed. Disappointed, he reported that there were no nudes so far. In an unfiltered utterance, Proctor revealed his true mindset. Hopefully, she kills herself. Okay, so, I mean, Popcorn Juror, thank you for becoming a new member. Welcome to Logic. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. I might seem surprised that this stuff is being stated in this court filing. But again, it's a civil court filing. The rules are a little different. So, but make no mistake, it's not that I'm surprised at it. It's that I've been dying to hear this being said without anything being held back. this is a fucking moment for me personally to see Karen Reed's defense team make these statements without anything holding them back. Because, you know, like, when you meet these guys personally, and I'm talking before there was a gag order, Alan Jackson is so passionate about this shit. But looking back, reading this and then looking back on what he was saying and the passion that he had and how he felt about Judge Cannoni and how he felt about Adam Lally. There was one time I walked in on the male part of the team while like they were in the bathroom. I went in the bathroom and they were all in there, and I overheard a very, very funny conversation about Adam Lally. These guys, not only were they very passionate, but they had a sense of humor. And they just put it this way, like the shit that we say about these people, I got confirmation that they felt the same way. Like unsolicited confirmation that they felt the same way. It was really cool. I'll probably never say who I overheard it from and who was in that bathroom when that happened. But it was really funny because I was standing there taking a leak and cracking up. But I mean, they saw me walk into the bathroom. They didn't care that I was in there. But like I said, it was pre-gag order anyway. So they didn't care because I guess they knew how I felt about it. And it was just really funny. Like, I was a fly peeing on the wall to these guys just shit talking Adam Lally, and it was the funniest shit in the world. It's great. And what was funny was they didn't say anything like mean. It was in terms of like, you know what he does that really fucking annoys me? Like it was that kind of, it was that natured in that sense. It wasn't like, oh, you know, he's got a leaky balloon knot. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't fucking vulgar. You know what I mean? It was just really funny. Like as classy as these guys are, they're genuinely that classy. And they were just like, you know, what really fucking annoys me about that guy, he does this thing. And I'm not going to get into it, but they were like, he does this thing. And every time he does it, and they were just, the other guys were like, yeah, I know. And I was just sitting there giggling because it was funny as fuck to me. Betsy, thank you so much. Thank you for being real all the time. Always, of course. But yeah, those guys are great. Karen Reed's criminal defense team were just like the coolest fucking people in the world. And let's see here. It goes on to say, indeed, Proctor's supervisors and the Massachusetts State Police knew about and condoned Proctor's unlawful conduct, and in some instances expressly encouraged this flagrant abuse of power. For example, on one occasion, Proctor's immediate supervisor, Yuri Bukaki, responded with a thumbs up emoji to a text calling Miss Reed retarded. Proctor's supervisors and the MSP knew Proctor had a close relationship with the Alberts and that he made no secret of his bias against Miss Reed, demonstrating a clear prejudice against her from the outset. Relying on manufactured evidence, actively ignoring exculpatory evidence, and without investigating obvious signs pointing toward the House defendants, the Commonwealth secured 2 separate arrest warrants for Miss Reed and knowingly baseless indictment against her, and then wrongfully prosecuted her for murder twice. As alleged below, these unlawful acts not only underlay plaintiff's meritless wrongful death claim against Miss Reed, but they also form the foundation for Miss Reed's claims against the defendants. These acts violated Miss Reed's state and federal constitutional rights. The Massachusetts Civil Rights Act will well-established Massachusetts tort principles. On June 18th, 2025, after a 2-month trial, a jury rejected the Commonwealth's theory, in part because the overwhelming physical, scientific, and medical evidence established that Miss Reed's vehicle did not strike Mr. O'Keefe and that Mr. O'Keefe's injuries did not come from a vehicle strike. Plain and simple. Psst, Arca. And of course, Dr. Marie Russell. Although Ms. Reed was ultimately and finally acquitted of all charges related to the death of Mr. O'Keefe, Proctor was fired, and nearly every MSP officer in Proctor's chain of command was disciplined for their egregious abuses and misdeeds. The Commonwealth still has not sought or provided justice, not the O'Keefe family, not the community at large, and certainly not to Ms. Reed. Wow. Bob, what do you think?
What could be more egregious? What could be more misleading than that? And what could be more important?
I completely agree, Bob. In response, the Commonwealth has offered only empty platitudes instead of solutions. The head of MSP, Colonel Jeffrey Noble, stated the events of the last 3 years have challenged our department to thoroughly review our actions and take concrete steps to deliver advanced investigative training, ensure appropriate oversight, and enhance accountability. Under my direction as colonel, the state police has and will continue to improve in these regards. In an interview with the Boston Herald, Noble acknowledged the systematic nature of MSP's conduct in Ms. Reed's case. I'm eyes wide open to a culture issue that I have concerns with as it relates to Trooper Proctor. These hollow words do nothing to right the devastating wrongs that have been visited on Ms. Reed. Colonel Noble's words confess a sickness deep in the marrow of the MSP, but offer no remedy, no medicine, no relief to someone so brutally victimized by it, like Karen Reed. Yeah, so just words, dude. Just words. That's all we got here from the colonel of the state police. The ultimate spokesperson for the Massachusetts State Police is this colonel who is just saying jack shit, just saying what is expected to hear, but what we want is follow through. What we want is you to play the part. Don't just read for it. Play the part. Unreal. And so this is now, I wonder if Karen Reed plans on suing the Massachusetts State Police as well. If we have yet to see that filing as well. Because that's something I would like to see. Because the fact of the matter is these people were acting as agents of the Massachusetts State Police. They were acting in capacity as agents of the Massachusetts State Police, and therefore the Massachusetts State Police should be held accountable. On Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, following the public disclosure of Proctor's illegal and unethical conduct related to the Reed investigation, the MSP's trial board found Michael Proctor guilty of a Class A violation, which included that he was biased in his dealings with a homicide suspect and or brought otherwise himself and the Massachusetts State Police into disrepute. Miss Reed's life was not merely turned upside down by the MSPs and the House defendants' misconduct. It was forever changed by the defendants' transgressions and wrongdoing. The years of uncertainty and unimaginable emotional distress have left lasting scars that will never heal. At the same time, neither Mr. O'Keefe nor his family have received justice. His killer or killers still walk free. By asserting her claims against Massachusetts State Police, Proctor, his supervisors, the town of Canton, and the House defendants, Miss Reed seeks at minimum to confront and redress these wrongs and others. Most importantly, she seeks to force the Commonwealth to fulfill its duty to stop law enforcement from trampling the innocent to protect their own. I love that. I love that. So, people, this being... I love that these people publicly stated, because they had to have gotten wind. They had to have gotten wind that they were going to get sued, right? I find the timing interesting. Just last night, I did a live stream. Where I was talking about how these people are planning on suing Karen Reed and suing Turtle Boy, the very people named in this lawsuit. So I find the timing to be interesting. I don't find it to be a coincidence. Welcome to Logic, Kathy Downing. Thank you so much. I don't find it to be coincidence. There's too many coincidences for anything to be coincidence anymore. And as Turtle Boy stated in a tweet earlier today, this is how you announce a lawsuit. You file it. You file it. You don't make empty threats. You just fucking file it. And for all the reasons that we went over yesterday, we know they're not going to. Robin G, they would be fools to. Robin G gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. They would be absolute fools to do that. So what I love is, for the reasons that we laughed hysterically at the notion that these people would fucking put themselves in a position to be deposed. Well, they're getting deposed anyway. Karen Reed and her team are going to make sure of this. This is going to happen. There's a moth in here. You guys see that? Karen Reed and her defense team and her civil team are going to make sure of that. So I would like to see, and it was really cool. The mighty one, Mark Betterow, was on Justice Surf TV earlier. I was listening, and when this was brought up, his opinion of it is right along lines with Aiden's and the rest of us. His opinion of it is, I would love, and I want to quote him loosely, but he said something along the lines of, I would love to be part of that when it comes to deposing these people, putting them in a position to answer for what took place on January 29th, 2022, to ask them about their roles, certain people's roles in the framing of Aiden, not just the framing of Karen Reed, but the framing of Aiden Carney as well, the setting of him up. So to hear Mark to openly say, yeah, I love that shit. I would love to be in that position. That's refreshing. Because, yeah, I mean, Michael and Linda completely agreed with him, and they were like, yeah, anything goes. There's no Judge Bev there to stop anything from being asked. It's beautiful. So the parties, says here, plaintiff Karen Reed is an individual residing in North Dighton, Massachusetts. Defendant Michael Proctor is a former Massachusetts State Police trooper residing in Canton, Massachusetts. He is being sued in his personal capacity. Defendant Sergeant Yuri Buchanan is a Massachusetts State Police trooper residing in Stoughton, Massachusetts. He is being sued in his personal capacity. Defendant Lieutenant Brian Tully is a Massachusetts State Police trooper residing in Hingham, Massachusetts. He is being sued in his personal capacity. Defendant Brian Albert is an individual residing in Norwood, Massachusetts. Defendant Nicole Albert is an individual residing in Norwood, Massachusetts as well. Defendant Jennifer McCabe is an individual residing in Canton, Massachusetts. Defendant Matthew McCabe is an individual residing in Canton, Massachusetts. Defendant Brian Higgins is an individual residing in Sandwich, Massachusetts. Jurisdiction and venue. The court has jurisdiction over all claims in this case pursuant to blah, 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 blah. And with regard to federal claims pursuant to Resnick versus Chief of Police, blah, 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 blah. Venue is appropriate in this court pursuant to blah, 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 blah. Because at least one party to this case, plaintiff Karen Reed, resides in Bristol County. And find me a civil jury that's going to think that Karen Reed should lose this case. I would love to find that. I'd love to see a group of jurors who feel like Karen Reed is actually guilty. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And the beauty of this is, the beauty of this motion, the beauty of this lawsuit, the beauty of the filing of this lawsuit is that with everything that they're saying here, they can prove. The whole question with a civil case is the plaintiff, just like if the accuser has the burden of proof is on the accuser, right? So in a civil case, it's not much different. And she has to be able to prove that these people are responsible for what they did. And it's not going to be difficult to do that because there's already so much on record from her trial, from her two trials, so much testimony, not to mention the depositions that are to come, where who knows how these people are going to incriminate themselves in the process. Who knows if they'll plead the fifth? Who knows? So if she wins this, and if it's going well for her, then that's going to really help the civil case against her from the O'Keefes. Excuse me. Dr. Jen Toxic, thank you so much. 1 month consensual member. Will Mods in chat, thank you so much. Yes, I love it. Appreciate it. The facts comment. I'm not going to read this whole thing, people, at least not today. But I am going to read to some point here. Because I'm seeing fun stuff here. Mama Llama is losing her shit on X, and that's really funny to me. The facts comment to all accounts on Mr. O'Keefe's death Before his death, Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed were dating. On the evening of January 28th, 2022, Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed went out for the night. They first went to see McCarthy's in Canton, where they had several drinks. They then went to the Waterfall Bar in Canton. There they met up with a group of acquaintances, including Brian Albert, his wife, Nicole Albert, Brian's brother, Chris Albert, and his wife, Julie, Jennifer McCabe, Nicole's sister, and Brian's sister-in-law, her husband, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgins. The group of acquaintances had several drinks and planned to continue the party back at the Alberts' home in Canton at 34 Fairview Road. The house. House defendant Jennifer McCabe told John O'Keefe that he should come to the house. The group had overlapping social relationships. At the time, Brian Albert was a Boston police officer as was Mr. O'Keefe, though they did not know each other well. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were close friends. Higgins was an officer with the ATF. He also was permitted to keep an office at the Canton Police Department, CPD, alongside Brian Albert's brother, Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert. Kevin Albert had a professional and social relationship with Michael Proctor. Brian and Nicole Albert's son, Brian Albert Jr., and his friends were already at the house for Brian Jr.'s birthday. In addition, Colin Albert, Brian Albert's nephew, was present. Ms. Reed and Mr. O'Keefe had never been to the house before January 29, 2022. They arrived in front of the Alberts' home around 12:20 a.m. Ms. Reed was reluctant to attend the party for several reasons, including that she was unsure whether they were at the correct address or location, and whether they were even welcome to the late night party. Mr. O'Keefe got out of the Miss Reed's SUV and indicated that he would check out the party and report back to her. Mr. O'Keefe walked toward the front door, garage door area of the house, and entered one of the two doors. A period of time passed without any word from Mr. O'Keefe. Ms. Reed, who was still hesitant to join, presumed that Mr. O'Keefe intended to stay, and therefore she left to go home without him. At some point, after entering the house garage, Mr. O'Keefe was involved in a physical altercation either inside the house or garage. During that altercation, the Alberts' German Shepherd attacked him, and Mr. O'Keefe sustained multiple dog bites and scratches on his right arm. He also suffered incapacitating counter-coups wound on the back of his head. I guess that's counter-coups. I don't know how to say that word. I apologize. On the back of his head. Mr. Keefe's head wound was caused by falling backwards and striking a rigid surface. The Alberts' garage contains such surfaces. By contrast, the head wound could not have been caused by a vehicle strike or falling backward into a flat, cold lawn like the Alberts. Wow. Thank you so much, Widow Bailey. What burns my biscuits and water downs my tea? Higgins put the house on protected homestead, and Alberts put the new house in their son's name. Protected from the suit. Oh, is that true? Did they, I mean, how do you know they deliberately did that? You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, they don't own, I mean, that's weird to me, but okay. I mean, it seems like a slick thing to do, and it seems like something they would do. I just, I question how we would really know that. You know what I mean? But I appreciate it. Thank you. A period of time passed without any word from Mr. O'Keefe. Miss Reed, who was still hesitant to join, presumed that Mr. O'Keefe intended to stay, and therefore she left to go home without him. At some point after entering the house garage, Mr. O'Keefe was involved in a physical... Oh, I already read that. Because of their knowledge of criminal investigations, the Alberts, the McCabe's, and Higgins house defendants knew that calling for medical care to help save Mr. O'Keefe's life would trigger immediate and irreversible risk of their own criminal exposure. Exactly. Therefore, at least the 5 of them agreed on a simple plan to exonerate themselves and implicate Miss Reed. They would tell anyone who inquired Mr. O'Keefe never entered the house and hide evidence that he was there, including his body. Sometime during that night, they repositioned a Ford Edge vehicle at a spot adjacent to the front lawn, which obscured the view of that area of the lawn from potential passerby. At some point further in the night, they carried and dragged Mr. O'Keefe's body to the same area in the yard, close to where one or more of them later claimed Miss Reed dropped off Mr. O'Keefe earlier that night, excuse me. The plan was devised to make it appear that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck by Miss Reed's vehicle and then died as a result of exposure to the cold. Mr. O'Keefe was either dead when the house defendants left him on the Alberts lawn, or he died shortly thereafter. After the physical altercation, Higgins left the house and drove to the Canton Police Department in the middle of the night. He later told investigators he had to do some administrative work, but then changed his story subsequently, stating that he drove to the station because he had to move cars in the parking lot due to the snowstorm. However, video from inside the station shows Higgins walking down the hallway and surreptitiously entering offices while wearing a hoodie to obscure his face. I can't believe I pronounced that word right. Surveillance video outside reveals Higgins transporting a large bag from one vehicle to another before driving away. After leaving the police station, Higgins and Albert continued to coordinate their stories by calling each other multiple times in the early morning hours and ultimately spoke with each other on the cell phones at 2:22 a.m. Later, both Brian Albert and Higgins denied the existence of these phone calls, and when confronted with their existence by a separate law enforcement agent, a non-MSP and non-CPD law enforcement agency, at a separate proceeding, they coordinated the same exact lie, falsely claiming the multiple calls and answers were just butt dials. However, 5 minutes after the Higgins-Alberts calls, Mrs. McCabe performed a Google search on her phone at 2:27 a.m. House long to die in cold, misspelling the first word. Okay, so I did anybody else notice what I noticed here? Did anyone else notice what I noticed here in that paragraph? Because what I'm noticing is that they still, for some reason, did not mention the FBI. They're referring to the FBI, but only alluding, saying not this agency and not that agency, but a separate law enforcement agency. So my theory is that maybe they're just not allowed. Maybe the FBI has requested, maybe the investigation is ongoing. And maybe they're just not allowed, or maybe because they weren't allowed to mention it in the trial, and since they plan on using record from both trials, they can't prove that it's the FBI. So I think it's maybe a little bit of both of those things. They can't mention the FBI because there's nothing on record, but maybe there is. I mean, maybe I don't know. I'm hazy as to why they can't mention the FBI in a civil suit, because there's no Judge Bev saying you can't mention this. You know what I'm saying? So, and sorry, I didn't listen to Melanie Little today. I was in her chat for like 2 seconds, and then I got, distracted by something else. But it feels like it's a little bit of both of that. At least It's just me trying to make sense of it. Because I mean, here they are outright saying, this is what the McAlberts fucking did. This is what the House defendants did. And they plan on proving this as fact. So why can't they mention the FBI? I mean, far be it from me to disagree with the great Melanie Little, but and I'm not being like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm not pulling a Twisted Tragedies here. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying that if she were here, I would ask her this question. That still doesn't make sense to me, because why wouldn't they just say it? You're telling me for the sake of what? Continuity? For the sake of, well, in case later on they decide that they can't mention the feds, they don't have to go back and change anything? Like, it's already filed. It already is what it is. There's no order saying that they can't mention the feds. I would only assume that the feds are saying that they don't mention us. You know what I mean? Maybe it's still an open investigation. Maybe it's still, there's stuff that, in order to not interfere with the investigation, they are not mentioning anything, and the feds just don't even want to be brought into the civil thing. That's what makes the most sense to me. Not, okay, well, this may not work later. So, and again, this is, a listener, and not to doubt you, I'm just saying, I take what you're saying with a grain of salt, because it's also possible that you misheard Melanie. So I don't know. I'm just making my opinion based on what you just said right here in this comment. But again, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, who knows? Like, I mean, it just, that seems weird to me. Like, okay, there's no order to not mention the feds, so why the fuck not mention them? Like, because what? Because you might have to change it later? What do you mean? Like, once it's on record, okay, well, it works like, okay, you won't have to, at least I think so. You can't mention it anymore moving forward. Like, you can't penalize somebody for mentioning something that there's no order to say that they can't mention it. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing it has something to do with it being more of an open investigation, and that's probably why they're avoiding it. That's the only reason I can imagine why they would hold back that information, because it's vital information. It's vital information. The fact that Michael Morrissey himself was under federal investigation, right, and the feds dumped a shitload of information. Like, we knew it. We knew it during the motion arguments before the first trial even started. Like, how the fuck do we know that the feds were investigating Michael Morrissey? We know because it's fucking very public. So why can't it be mentioned in the civil cases? I'm just curious about that. I'm just simply curious about that. Miss Reed searches for Mr. O'Keefe. Miss Reed began the search for Mr. O'Keefe on January 29th, just before 5 a.m. She awoke and realized he had not returned home. She phoned House Defendant Jennifer McCabe, who already knew exactly what happened to Mr. O'Keefe. She sure as fuck did, AJ. Miss McCabe insisted that Miss Reed drive to Miss McCabe's house rather than driving to 34 Fairview Road. Huh. Okay. You see how I doubted AJ earlier in the stream? You see how that shit comes back to bite me in the ass? My bad, AJ. You see how that shit fucking came back to bite me in the ass? I'm like, why doesn't he mention the Jennifer McCabe stuff? Why isn't he like putting more shit on Jennifer McCabe when it comes to this so-called search for John O'Keefe? So it's very funny to me that here he just straight up said, Miss McCabe, she knew exactly what the fuck happened to John O'Keefe. She Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. She knew exactly where he was, what happened to him, what they did with him. She knew all that shit. And so AJ's pointing that shit out, or whoever wrote this motion, whoever wrote this lawsuit, and says that Miss McCabe insisted that Miss Reed drive to McCabe's house rather than driving to 34 Fairview Road, which indicates that she was trying to avoid her seeing John. That they were like, no, let's look over here. Let's look over here. And it was Karen who was like, why aren't we going to why isn't the first place that we go the last place that John O'Keefe was seen? Any fucking asshole would do that. That's the first. When you're searching for someone who's missing, you start where they were last seen and you work your way from there. That's what you do. That's common sense. It doesn't take a fucking PI or a fucking proctor to fucking figure that out. It sure does. It doesn't even take a fucking Gallagher to figure that out. The two of them were then joined by Carrie Roberts, and the three of them left the McCabe residence. However, rather than go to 34 Fairview, oddly, Miss McCabe directed them to go back to Mr. O'Keefe's home, where Miss Reed had just come from. After the three of them finally drove to 34 Fairview, the illogical McCabe directed route to 34 Fairview was intentional. Excuse me. The illogical McCabe directed route to 34 Fairview was intentional. It allowed the House defendants more time to finish creating the scene and hiding evidence before Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered on the Alberts lawn and first responders arrived. As they approached the house with Miss Roberts driving, Miss Reed saw Mr. O'Keefe almost immediately. She screamed for Miss Roberts to stop the vehicle and jumped from the moving car to run to Mr. O'Keefe. She began rendering aid, including CPR. As the House defendants had planned, Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered in front of the Alberts house near a flagpole and fire hydrant on the left side of the Alberts property, as seen from the roadside. The Ford Edge, which had been parked in a position to obscure Mr. O'Keefe's body in the middle of the night, had been removed. Wow. While Miss Roberts joined Miss Reed with administering CPR, Miss McCabe did not help or even approach Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, she sat in the cab of the vehicle, called 911, and reported that there's a man passed out in the snow. Despite knowing that her brother-in-law, Brian Albert, a police officer and first responder, was just feet away inside the house, Miss McCabe never went into the house or requested that Albert come down to help Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, as Mr. O'Keefe lay dying in the snow, Miss McCabe stood and watched with no fear, urgency, or even concern for her family members residing more feet away. It's so weird because I also noticed something there. At no point, because the fact is that we heard on this recording that by the grace of God, John O'Keefe's voicemail picked up. John O'Keefe's voicemail picked this up and heard Jennifer McCabe speaking with her sister Nicole, Coco, as it were, and asked her, are you coming out or are you coming down? The problem is that I don't think that they mentioned it. And the reason I don't think that they mentioned that there is because the last time they tried to play it in court, it was too inaudible. So something that simple, I wonder, would be the reason why they wouldn't even bring it up in this lawsuit. But I'm curious as to why they haven't, and they may still, because again, there's like 40 something pages of this thing here. They still might do it, but the call logs that absolutely prove that Jennifer McCabe spoke with Nicole Albert. So even though it's pretty inaudible, I mean, what are you going to give every juror some headphones and be like, listen real close, don't even breathe? You know what I mean? Like, you can't really do that. At least I don't think so. Maybe. I mean, I guess a pushy enough lawyer might, but it might turn the whole jury off to the whole thing. Who knows? But the call logs, I feel like the call logs would be sufficient on top of everything else. You know what I mean? The Canton police were the first on the scene shortly after 6 a.m. At the time, there was no evidence that Mr. O'Keefe had been hit by a vehicle. In fact, the evidence suggested just the opposite. His body did not show signs of trauma commonly associated with being struck by a car. There were no bone fractures or trauma to his lower body, his torso, or any other part of his body as investigators would expect from a vehicle strike. Rather, Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with being physically assaulted to the face and head and attacked by a dog. For good reason, the ranking CPD officer on the scene, Sergeant Michael Lank, opined on a telephone call captured on a dash cam that Mr. O'Keefe looked like he had been in a fight. Moreover, the intentional search conducted by Canton police officers revealed that there was no vehicle debris in the lawn at 34 Fairview, let alone any debris at or near Mr. O'Keefe's body. Not a single piece of taillight material was discovered on the lawn that morning or in the roadway, notwithstanding multiple searches and the use of a leaf blower to remove snow. Tellingly, despite the commotion outside, including more than a dozen first responders, 3 police cruisers, 2 ambulances, I know where this is going, a ladder fire engine, all with their emergency lights flashing, and at least 2 civilian vehicles, plus Miss Reed's screams upon finding Mr. O'Keefe's body. No one from the Alberts house, including police officer Brian Albert, ever went outside to see what was happening, let alone help. They wanted to avoid scrutiny from the police investigators. Sergeant Lank was a longtime friend of the Alberts and the first law enforcement officer to enter the house. He spoke to the Alberts and the McCabes. Pursuant to their plan, the Alberts and the McCabes told Sergeant Lank that Mr. O'Keefe had never entered the Alberts house the night before. The Alberts and McCabe statements were false. Mr. O'Keefe arrived and entered at the house or garage where he was assaulted, attacked by the Alberts dog, and suffered a fatal injury to the back of his head. I mean, people. I mean, I just don't see how this is indisputable considering everything that we know already. I mean, this is beautiful. This is beautiful because we're going to get to see, well, I don't know if we'll get to see them, but the fact of the matter is these people are all going to end up getting deposed. Every one of them is going to get deposed. And I can't wait to hear their responses to these straight up accusations without Judge Bev refereeing the whole thing in their favor. Blatantly in their fucking favor. So I'm really stoked about this. I'm really excited about this. And yes, Lank, who helped them before and had early access to Sandra Birchmore's apartment. 100%. I worry for Aiden's safety too. I do. Not too much. I try not to let myself worry any more than he is. You know, it's just, not being one of those annoying homies. You know what I mean? I one thing that him and I seem to have in common that I recognize, so I try to respect, is I don't like people telling me what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing, even if they're trying to help. It annoys me. even when I can realize and I can, ascertain that they are just trying to be helpful, it still annoys the shit out of me. And I have this thing in my brain that just makes me fucking instinctively do the opposite of what people are fucking trying to tell me to do. And so I don't want to be one of those people to Aiden. You know what I mean? So, he's a grown man. And he seems to be highly intelligent. So there's no reason for me to worry about him any more than he's worried about himself. So now, despite Mr. O'Keefe's injuries being wholly inconsistent with the story the House defendants were now telling him, neither Sergeant Lank nor any other member of the CPD searched the house to determine whether the occupants or anyone else were involved in Mr. O'Keefe's death, nor did they request to search the occupants' cell phones, observe their bodies for evidence of a fight, or even secure the scene where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found. They failed to do so because of bias born of friendship and loyalty in favor of the Alberts and the McCabe's, aka the McAlberts. Yeah, again, this is something that we talked with. This is something that we talked with the LV cops a lot about. Something that would visibly annoy the shit out of both Gonzo and Brian, but specifically more Brian. Is the fact that there was not even so much as a wellness check on everyone in the house. Like, nobody knocked on the door to see if everyone was okay. I find that to be incredibly suspicious. That tells me that there was prior communication going on and this was actively avoided. This tells me that in-person conversation most likely took place. I would guess that in conversation between Jennifer McCabe and Lank maybe took place or another officer who Jennifer McCabe was in direct contact with spoke directly with Lank, and it was established very early on that no one was going to knock on the door and speak to anyone in the house, even though we see on dash cam footage Jennifer McCabe running into the house the minute that John O'Keefe's body is taken away from the property of 34 Fairview Road. Once it leaves the property and once those first responders are gone, Jennifer McCabe runs inside 34 Fairview Road. But why didn't the police knock on the door? Why didn't they check to see if everyone was okay? There's a dead cop laying on the lawn. There's absolutely nothing other than absolute suspicious circumstances as to why they would not knock on the door to see if everyone else is okay. The owner of the house being a Boston cop too. Why wouldn't they be thinking, hey, this is a Boston cop's house and here's a Boston cop lying on the lawn. We need to check on this other Boston cop veteran that owns the house. We need to see if he's okay. Do we got somebody with a vendetta against the Boston Police Department going around killing cops? This didn't occur to anybody. Why didn't it occur to anybody? Especially people who they're close to. All these cops, they're buddies. Why aren't they so fucking concerned for Brian Albert's well-being? Brian Albert's family's well-being. Why aren't they concerned about it? Because they were told to not be concerned about it. That's why. That is the only thing that makes sense. They were told to not be concerned about this. They already knew they were okay. They were instructed to avoid talking to them. That is what happened. That has to be what happened. Now, that is just my opinion. But common sense dictates that based on what we know, that is the most likely scenario. And Jennifer McCabe was the point man on the whole thing. Jennifer McCabe was running point on the entire cover-up. She was the one in the field running point on this conspiracy and cover-up. I have no doubt in my mind about this. Right. She ran into the house like it was all good. Why didn't she go into the house in the first place? Why didn't she ask, hey, can I go into my house? And then the police go, hey, no, we need to make sure everybody's okay first. We'll let you go in once we establish that everyone in the house is okay. That's standard procedure. I'm not even a cop, and I know that that's standard procedure. If the objective is to protect and serve, well, then that is the most likely scenario. That is the most likely procedure to execute when your mindset is to protect and serve, when your purpose is to protect and serve. Is it not? And even if it's one of your own, especially if it's one of your own, why wouldn't you take that protect and serve instinct and fucking make it personal? And say, hey, that's a Boston cop's house in there, and I'm going to make sure he's okay. The only reason that didn't happen is because they had to have been instructed to not do so. That's it. The phone records, the calls, the call logs, all corroborate this. They're all very suspicious. She called her sister, Nicole. That call was answered. They spoke for a duration of seconds. And then they both denied it on the stand. They both lied about it. Both of them lied about it. Both Nicole Albert and Nicole Albert and Jennifer McCabe both took the stand in the first trial and fucking lied. Everybody had butt dials. Everyone had butt dials. So, fuck no. They're not getting away with this. Fuck no. Now, I'm going to read the rest of this probably tomorrow. I'll probably do some daytime stream and just go over the rest of it. Let me mark what page am I on? Okay, got it. Now, let me see what we got here. Hold on. Let's see this butthurt Mama Llama here saying Karen Reed's entire lawsuit is 46 pages of pure defamation aimed at inflicting emotional harm on the McCabe's and Alberts. Aimed at inflicting emotional harm at the McCabe's and Alberts. It's also packed with blatant contradictions to the actual evidence and testimony. And by the way, where's Colin? You all screamed his name for 3 years, straight losers. I mean, yeah, they're not naming Colin Albert in the lawsuit because, I mean, Colin Albert didn't have motive. Not really. Not motive that they could really prove. All we know is that they all lied about him being in the house. That's not enough. That's not enough to hold him accountable. You know? I wouldn't go that route. As the founder of the Glare Institute of Law and stuff, I definitely would not go that route. The thing is I'm theorizing that. Remember, what did I say the entire trial? Both trials. and I'll refresh your memory because I know I said a lot of things. I'll refresh your memory. What I said was that the thing to really, really understand and take out of what's out of these testimonies, these cross-examinations of Jen McCabe, of all the McAlberts, all of these people, is all of it goes on record. I would say this all the time. The thing to remember is all of this shit is going on record. And this stuff is going to be used in a lawsuit later on. This stuff is going to be used by the feds, hopefully, to open up another case. And here it is. Everything seems to be going in the direction of they're going to rely on what's on record from the last two trials to prove their case, to prove their civil case against these defendants, the House defendants. And yeah, Colin's fucking broke too. Colin's a baby mooch. So yeah, he doesn't have anything. He doesn't own anything. So it makes no sense to sue him. Now I wonder. Now Chris Albert is not named here either. Chris Albert is not named in this lawsuit. Okay. So now, I love Mama Llama saying that this is aimed at inflicting emotional harm on the McAlberts. It's aimed at inflicting emotional harm. No, it's not aimed at inflicting emotional harm. Like Mama Llama is saying that the purpose behind suing these people who tried to frame her for murder, for fucking murder of her own boyfriend, that they're doing it to hurt. She's doing it to hurt their feelings. She's doing it to harass them and hurt their feelings. No, she's doing it to hold them accountable. She's doing it to hopefully throw their asses in fucking jail. Make no mistake about it. I don't know if they'll ever say that. I'm telling you that. I'm telling you that anybody with fucking eyes, use your eyes, people. Anybody with fucking eyes can see that this is, we're holding these people accountable. We're getting them again on record. This is Karen Reed and her defense team trying to get justice for Boston police officer John O'Keefe after the fact. That's what this is. And here's the thing. Should the O'Keefes be compensated? They lost their son and brother. Should the O'Keefes be compensated? My opinion? They had their chance. They had their chance. They had their chance to back the right horse. They're currently suing her. Karen Reed should take every cent of that and then do whatever the fuck she wants with it. She should take every cent that she gets from all of those assholes that she's suing and do whatever the fuck she wants. She's earned it. She's absolutely fucking earned it. Regardless of what your opinion is of her, doesn't matter. She has earned that shit. I mean, and the beauty of it is, I hope that it puts their asses in debt for the rest of their fucking lives. I hope that it's such a fucking insane amount that they have to fucking cut her a check every month for the rest of their fucking lives. Every last person named in that lawsuit. I want to see that happen. I want to see that happen. Like, that's the joy I'm going to get out of it, is knowing that they have to cut her a fucking check every month for the rest of their lives. Love that shit. Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, I can't play that. If somebody wants to record it and then send it to me, I could go over it tomorrow. But I can't go over it. Because I'm still have a suspension. And yeah, let's talk about that for a second since we got a few more minutes. We're way past the deadline, bro. We're 24 hours. We're more than 24 hours past the deadline for Cosgrove, Cossie G to file a response to the Mega Motion. Diane G, thank you so much. Is the Super Chat song better than Twisted Trailer Trash Dumpster? I think so. Let's find out.
Oh, here we go.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad.
How dare you?
Thank you so much. Specially appointed prosecutor Robert Cosgrove says, still can't find the papers. I still can't find the papers, Clara. Will Clara. Yeah, dude. Like, we're way past that deadline. I wonder what excuse he's gonna have for that. Like, I'm wondering, is he just gonna fucking toss the case? Is the next thing that's gonna be filed before the end of this week or sometime right before the hearing? Is the whole thing gonna be filed? Is he just gonna say, fuck it, I'm done. We're dropping the charges. I'm dropping the fucking charges. I'm over it. I'm sick of this shit. Nulling, I don't know how to say your name, but thank you so much. Cossie G has been working on his love life. Maybe he got lucky. Maybe. I don't know why he's in my chat instead of, rubbing on a good, robust tuchus. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Let me see. I got a Venmo from Kristen, $20, asking, would you consider reviewing it doesn't say the rest of it. Oh yeah, Raul Valle trial. I know you could provide great insight. Thank you. I have not even heard of it, but I'll try to remember to look into it when this stream is done. But thank you for that. I always appreciate good suggestions, new suggestions for cases to go over. But yeah, you guys are absolutely awesome, man. One last thing that I wanted to talk about real quick. Give me just 1 second, by the way, real quick, folks. All right. Thanks for waiting, folks. So one last thing I want to go over. Oh, yeah, it's Kelsey Fitzsimmons' birthday today. Happy birthday, Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Make sure the link to donate to her defense fund is in the description. So is Aiden's. Make sure to do that if you can. Appreciate you guys so much. Annie Nielsen, thank you so much for Clubber's Treat Fund. Thank you. He's actually running low on milk bones. I gotta get him some more. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I saw this and I checked to see if it's actually like it's his. It's not the parodies. And he was talking about it on his live stream earlier too. This is just a little lighthearted off subject stuff that I'm gonna wrap it up with. Grant posted this, which I found really funny. Not really funny, but he posted, "Friends, I'm very sorry to say my own mother is moving to evict me in the coming months over the holidays, no less." So his mother, who he's referring to, is the notorious Wendy Murphy. He goes on to say, "I fell behind on paying her each month after my health got worse in the fall, and she wants to embarrass me with pictures of my own room while I was bedbound." And I get that, dude. Listen, dude. Full disclosure, man. I'm a fucking slob. Okay? Like, it's an ADHD thing. But if I, focused on disciplining myself to keeping my room clean, which I've been doing pretty much lately. But I let my room, like with my knee injury, I let my room just get fucking messy. And I was just like, God damn it. Like once I was able to walk, I was like, okay, this is, and I've done a good job of keeping it clean since, but I'm a fucking slob. And I get it. And I think that Grant is somebody who feels more comfortable in a state of chaos. If you watch his live streams, he has a million things going on that would cause any epileptic to go into a seizure because there's just too much fucking shit going on. I think that his mind works that way, and that's probably why his room is probably messy all the time. And he's also just kind of gross, if I'm being honest. For some reason, the guy prefers to hold his pants up with a belt. He doesn't seem to care much about his personal hygiene when he sits in the press pool in the court, and it's I think that these are things that he has issues with. He has neurological complications that I would think that he's dealing with in some way, shape, or form. They say that he's autistic. I don't know what his actual diagnosis is. But this stuff makes sense to me. But it also makes sense to me that Wendy Murphy would lack patience with him about it because she's an asshole. So he goes on to say here, "I fell behind on paying her each month after my health got worse in the fall, and she wants to embarrass me with pictures of my room while I was bedbound. I'll be setting up an emergency GoFundMe in the coming days to help me look for other options." And he's slick. This is the thing about Grant, bro. Like, I see right through this shit. Okay, he's wording this in such a careful way so that he doesn't think so people don't think that he's asking for charity, which he absolutely fucking is. He's absolutely doing that, but he's wording it in a sense that he's trying to make an effort. Will you fund my effort to making myself be independent? Will you fund my effort in being independent? Like, it's very manipulative, and it's fucking, you're retarded if you fall for it. But it's really funny. And he's like, "I always loved my mom, but in recent months, she really became angry with me when I started talking about some of the witnesses in the orbit of the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case. She also never," this is all, "my mommy hates me. Like, she also never paid my tuition for this semester, despite the promising to do so. And now I may not graduate after giving it my all. I will also need to raise those funds as well, or I won't be able to get my degree. I'm so sorry I failed you all. So poor me. I'm taking accountability, but it's my mom's fault. I'm sorry I failed you all, but this fucking lady, bro, she promised to pay my tuition. Listen, the thing is, Grant, this post is an insult, and this is why people aren't going to help you, Grant, because this post is an insult to people's intelligence. And I'm trying to help you out here. I'm trying to throw you some nuggets, okay? I'm trying to throw you, I'm talking to you like I would talk to my own fucking kid, okay? Because this is some bullshit. Everybody can see right through it. Like, what you're doing here is he's not gaslighting. He's not doing that. He's just fucking being manipulative. He's being totally manipulative. He's attempting to be manipulative, but he's just failing at it because you can see right through it. His entitlement does not allow him to see how manipulative, it does not allow him to see that people see how manipulative he is. His entitlement boosts his fucking arrogance, and his arrogance will not allow him to see that people see right through this bullshit, right? Because here's the thing, Grant. If you were giving it your all, because you haven't been giving it your all, I'll explain why. If you were giving it your all, you would have a job. You would be waiting tables. You would be scrubbing dishes. You would be cleaning up dog shit. You would be cleaning toilets, doing whatever the fuck you had to do to pay your tuition, because your tuition is the most important thing in your life. It is the road. The tuition is your toll to the road that's going to take you where you want to be in life. And if that means that much to you, you would be busting your fucking ass to make sure it gets done in every possible way within your ability. You would not be whining about your mommy online. Okay? And I'm telling you this because I actually like you, Grant. I actually like you. But you're fucking entitled. You're a fucking entitled brat. And the thing is let me explain this real quick while I got a couple of minutes. Let me read what my post was, because I reposted a screenshot of this. And my response, my post headline here was, you know, the sad thing about this is that this community is so amazing that he failed to see it when it mattered, meaning during both Karen Read trials and pre-trial. He chose Ratchet, which is exactly what he did. The fact is that I don't think Grant is a bad person. If he had simply chosen to report the truth in the last couple of years, this community would have gotten behind him and with solidarity. I would have personally held a 12-hour stream just to help raise funds for his tuition. The trouble with that is I could not, in good conscience, take any part in funding someone as reckless and flagrant with his reporting, going towards him having a legitimate degree of any kind. I don't want to see this dude legitimized, dude. Not the kind of lies that this guy has told in the last fucking 2 years that I've been witnessing him do it. All the harassment that he did, of the yelling and screaming at Karen Read as she's fucking getting out of her SUV to go to court. The crazy accusations towards Alan Jackson, the crazy accusations towards Melanie Little. I mean, this kind of shit is not okay. And this left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And it's so crazy because if he had actually been ethical, if he had actually reported on the truth, just paid attention to what happened in court and then said, this is what's going on here. If he had the balls to do that, this whole community would be behind him right now. This whole community would be like, dude, your mom's fucking crazy, Wendy Murphy, and we're going to help you out in any way that we fucking can. But the problem is that if I held a 12-hour stream to help fund his tuition, or multiple ones, if I did anything to help fund his tuition, and then he became a legitimized reporter with a degree and a job at a fucking mainstream media outlet, what's he going to do with that? What's a guy like that going to do with a degree like that and with a job like that? I would be personally contributing to exactly what's wrong with mainstream media. And here I am trying to support independent media. And I would support him as an independent journalist because he's got the talent. He's absolutely got the talent to do it. The problem is, Grant, you don't care about the truth. And what we want are independent journalists that care about the truth. That's what we want. Because the only thing that we have to fight up against mainstream media is the truth. The only thing that keeps us from earning, the only thing that keeps us that brings us viewers is that we can promise what mainstream media can't promise, which is the truth. And we don't want you doing that. And yeah, it's law school. He wants to be a fucking lawyer. That's even worse. That's even worse. And I went on to say, I hope everything works out for the Tal, and he'll see this as a wake-up call. Sorry, Tal, but you don't get to whine about mommy being mean when you've done everything to emulate her own behavior this whole time. Best of luck, homie. And that's exactly how I feel about it. And I hope Grant straps up his bootstraps and kicks ass. I wish him the best, but I can't help him, and I won't. Even though I feel bad for him to a certain degree. I mean, he's been dependent on his mom this whole time. Maybe it's time he learns to not be dependent on his mom, especially who his mom is. But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you guys so much. We're going to probably go over the rest of this motion tomorrow. Yeah, you guys are absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys. Make sure to hit the like on your way out. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to hit the notification bell so you know when I'm going live, and make sure to stay safe. I love you guys very much. Thank you guys for all of the support. It means the world to me. Like I said, it only takes a second to stay safe. I love you guys very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.
Watch out!
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school just like their neighbors and come back to a real home. A supervised home, right in the neighborhood, where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good neighbor.